here we are back yet again for one last round of 4 matchup in the Junior Star League. Let's see who the next finals contender will be. Spawning into the bottom, the right-hand corner, the purple Terran Pieces. He is currently teamless. He goes by the name of Reege. Now, I'm assuming it's Reege or Reege. I'm not sure how he pronounces that, but I'm going Reege. So, like, that's how it's going to be. Correct me if I'm wrong. Again, guys, I apologize if I mispronounce any names whatsoever. And in the top left-hand corner, the red Protoss Pieces from Psyx A, or Psyx, depending what branch you're from. He goes by the name of Sentinel. Do we have a gateway gas opener here so far for Sentinel? Now, he is going to go ahead and send this probe across the map. Now, this is a very popular map to open up with a proxy Stargate, some shield battery play. You know, to open up with like a Void Ray, because there's not a lot Terran can do to deal with that. Especially with some of the positioning. Like, you can position shield batteries down here on the low ground. And, you know, just poke with the Void Ray long enough. And eventually you will be able to, you know, just break him, or break a Terran flat out. Especially if he doesn't scout and does not see it coming. Now, we do have an SCV already being sent across the map here for Reege. Reege? It's Reege? Okay, thanks Reege. Again, I apologize if I mispronounced anything, guys. Cybernetic Core going to go down here for Sentinel. Now, Sentinel does have a probe kind of hanging out, being super sneaky over here. Command Center does go down for Reege. Let's see exactly what we have in store. This SCV gonna hang out here to try and keep the tabs on any kind of tech, I would assume. Gonna go over and just keep checking around the base. Now, we do have a second barracks on the way. Reaper is out, so he will be able to join in and start scouting around the map, and he will just barely miss that probe. That is one lucky probe. That Sentinel's probe will be able to come back in here and start poking around. And I love the fact this Reaper is scouting around the map before immediately running straight across the map to try and find any kind of probes on the other side of the map, like in the main or the natural. And this is just what we call a safe Terran play. You know, he's making sure there's no proxies on the map. They could be a factor. Probius. That's a sad Probius pick. He got a little bit of hero damage, and that was about it. Anyway, we do have Reaper moving across the map now. He is going to be able to get over here. Is there anything out there? Is an Adept out on the high ground? We do have a Twilight Council and a few more gateways being thrown down. This Adept going to move down the ramp here towards the natural. Looks like it wants to move out across the map. And this could be... Talk about close encounters. When the Adept finishes up right next to the Reaper, just keeps going. You know, that's one lucky Reaper then. We do have another Adept on the high ground here in the main base. It should be able to deflect that Reaper from finding too much damage. Meanwhile, we do have one Adept making its way up into the natural base here of Reach. Let's check for the third base. But this is looking like it's going to turn into pretty much a macro map. But we do have Reach looking like he wants to put some Marine Marauder pressure out. It's all well and good. You know, you gotta find some damage somewhere along the lines with Protoss players, because if you just let them get too far ahead and that late game rolls around, it's a bad day to be a Terran. Especially if you don't have your goes, you know, storms are done. Reaper's still hanging out up here on the third base, keeping tabs on when that will possibly be going down. Robotics Bay facility does finish up. Observer on the production tab. We do have Blink for the Stalkers coming out here. This Adept is actually going to... Wow, that Adept could have actually slipped in there and done quite a bit of damage. As he still not being done, which means some of these bio units would have actually had a hard time to keep up. Let's see if he actually closes the door this time. Nope. Adept will finish up this time. Let's see if he makes his way towards the main mineral line. I don't think Sentinel was expecting that to finish up at all, so he is going to try and shade this adept back out of here. Doors being thrown up saying, nope, once you're in, you're stuck, mate. Therefore, you will wind up getting cleaned up. However, that adept does see exactly everything Reege is up to. So now in this situation, we have to see exactly what Sentinel's follow-up is going to be. I mean, he does have observers coming on the map, which he will be able to kind of keep tabs on where his army is at of Reege, and Sentinel does have a third base on the way. How many gateways does he have? He has 3 gates. Only 3 gateways so far, and I don't feel that's going to be enough to deal with this. Stim is done. +1 armor as well as combat shield are on the way. Stalkers do get warped in here. But is there enough bio here to clean this up? Shield battery going to be the point of contention here to start with. One Stalker is going to get picked off already, and he's just going to keep pushing forward. Reege has he broken Sentinel already, but he will find some damage. Does get the third base canceled, and will clean up this entire third base location. And at this point, he should kind of back up, start getting his bio ball, and, you know, try to slowly start to snowball. But a 2-base Protoss is still a very dangerous Protoss. Immortal now joining in the mix as well as Stem forward yet again. Now, keep in mind there's no medevacs here to help keep this bio army alive. So every time he stems, he does continue to deal damage to his army, which he is just going to back it on out of here. Get his third base secured. You know, gain that little bit of macro advantage. Now Sentinel is going to have to come back over here and reestablish his charge on the production tab, about to finish up. Couple more gateways being thrown down as well. So Sentinel just kind of took that hit and was like, yep, that's nice. I'm going to go ahead and secure my third base again. I'm going to continue to tech up a little bit on 2. Now what do we have for Reege? Reege does have double medevac production, +1 combat shield or armor is about to finish up. He does also have +1 weapons already, so he will be on 1-1 and be able to crank right into that 2-2 production. Here we go, Reege pushing out across the map once again, going to try and cancel that third base once more. Now, keep in mind, charge is done here. Which means Zealots will be able to start to get on top of this bio very quickly. A couple more gateways do finish up. Tank also in the mix now, and this is where the charge lots do become a bit more of a use here. With a tank, you do force a little bit of splash damage to be dealt to a Terran army. Tank is going to siege up. Third base is going to get canceled out once again. Oh, like I said, Reege just continues to snowball this game in his favor. Keeping this Protoss on 2 base is everything right now. Tank going to siege up once again, forcing that hardened shield to come into play there. This means that shield will now be on cooldown. Here we go. Reege good to push right up into the natural, getting these tank into position here. Second tank is joining in. He's kind of trapped Sentinel's army in a really awkward position. But here we go, Charge Light's going to jump in here. Second tank is going to siege up, and you know, splash damage with Charge Lights is huge. And that might just be enough to push his back. He's going to retreat back to the shield battery. But Reege is going to continue to push forward in the Sentinel's natural base. These tanks continue to rain fire down on pylons and shield batteries alike. A couple more medevacs do join in here with a little bit more energy. Again, Zealots charging out once again, force a little bit more splash damage. Honestly, at this point, Sentinel, you just can't overextend here, mate. Once you start to get, like, you need more Immortals, more Zealots, honestly. It should be more than enough to break this. But the longer he waits, the more Reach will be able to reinforce his army. Bit of an A move, or A move onto his own tank there. Let's see exactly where it goes. There's no air on the way. We do have 1-1 starting up for Sentinel. But again, if he would just warp in enough charge lots, you know, get a few more gateways, it'll be more than a good situation here to be able to break this. He is supply capped right now. And he has quite a bit of money in the bank, so he can't even spend it. Gateways finally coming online. Our Terran in purple continues to just reinforce with more and more units across the map. And the blink forward here into the tanks, into the Marine Marauders. Or he will continue to push forward with 2-2 done. GG will be called out. And Reege will secure himself game number 1. And here we go. Game numero 2. Looks like we're going to the acid plant. Spawning into the bottom right hand corner. Let me see if I get this name right this time. The purple Terran pieces of Reege. And in the top left hand corner, his opponent, the orange pro pieces from Psyx. He goes by the name of Sentinel. He's currently down 1-0 in the series. Let's see if he can bring it back. Tie it up in game number 2. Now, Acid Plant LE is a map that, in my experience, I've learned to just avoid Reaper scouting to some degree. I mean, use the Reaper if you have to. It does serve other purposes besides scouting. You know, you can kind of poke in, try to delay a third baseman with a Zerg, try to catch a probe on the map somewhere. You know, it is fast enough to just scout around the map to make sure there's no cheeky proxies anywhere. But on Acid Plant LE, I've learned, like, not really to favor a Reaper too much here because there's not too many ways in for the Reaper in either base. We do have that SCV scout on the way across the map here. Proby is going to make his way into the main base to see if his opponent looks normal enough that he can leave and not have to worry about anything too crazy. That is exactly that. The Reaper is going to be on the way. Now, the Reaper, like I said, there may not be a lot of ways in, but I guess it really does defend upon the matchup. So, like, TVP, it still serves the purpose, but TVT, I've honestly just stopped going for a Reaper Scout on the Acid Plant and just SCV'd basically everything in the early game. I'll just wall off and put a couple Marines over there to defend. And generally, that Reaper should never make it into your base. And if he does, he's not going to be leaving very soon. Reege's going to get a full scout off here. Proby is going to continue to poke around and see exactly what he can find out. We do have a factory follow-up. Another barracks being added on. So everything looking very similar to game number 1 from Reege. This Reaper is going to poke on up here. See exactly what's going on. We do have a Twilight Council going down here very quickly. So again, Sentinel also favoring a very similar style of play. Reaper going to poke up in here and see that everything looks pretty much the same. The only thing Reege didn't see with that Reaper, you know, is that Twilight Council being down there. Now, is Proby still alive? Yeah, Proby looks like he's on his way home. It's actually looking like he might actually just... Okay, he's just going to go home. I was going to say, he might run into the Reaper there trying to get a third base up, but Adept is on the way across the map. There are a couple Marines out here to help defend and shoot that Adept away. But Probius has done a successful scouting mission. He's going to go home and mine once again. Now, Stem now on the production tab. Like I said, this is a very similar push. It's just a 2 racks pressure with Stem and +1. You just get some Marines, get some Marauders out, and you can also push across and deny a third base very, very easily like that, as we saw in game number 1. Adept is going to shade in here. The doors are going to be thrown up. This Adept shouldn't get too much done here. She's going to wind up falling to the Marines. And everything's going to go back to being pretty quiet and standard. I mean, both players are macro favored. Do have gateways being done. Warp gate not quite done, so these will take a little bit to morph. We do have another robo facility on the way. So no Stargate pressure coming out as of yet. Warp Gate does finish up. Stim and +1 attack are about halfway done. That's a interesting looking water animation there. You know, eventually StarCraft will be so good that the Fog of War still just continues to play the proper water animations for observers. Reaper running for his life on that third base location so that the probe can't get in here. Establish that third base. That would be interesting to see if Sentinel decides to, you know, change the third base location to here, rather than throw it down where that Reaper expected it to be. You know, kind of a little bit of a mind game to change up that positioning. We'll have to wait and see. No, he is just going to go for the third, where the Reaper knows where it should be. Stalkers are over here to defend this third base location now, so honestly this bio pressure will not be able to deny that third base very, very easily. Combat shield now on the production tab. And Reege knowing this, he's just going to continue to build up his army. So he get his factory down. Another depth is on the way. Like I said, just overall a very quiet macro game so far. There's a whole lot of aggression coming up, but as I say, that Reege is moving across the map with a pretty hefty bio force. Now there are quite a few stalkers already in position here to defend. Shield batteries being thrown down as well. So this third base should not end up falling. So Depth is going to make her way in here to the main natural base. Throwing that shade up there. She will end up falling. And does keep some of this bio back. Reege going to move up the ramp. Realize there's just a little bit too much Protoss here. He's going to have to get on out of here. Now, we have quite a few Stalkers in the mix. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Warp Prism come down and just like a Blink Stalker all in. And we do have Charge and Immortals on the way. Oof, oof. Salvador? I guess he was here casting. No, guys, if caster ever leaves, do not worry about it. Just keep playing. Because honestly, if the game finishes, we have the replay to go back and look at. Anyway, we do have Charge on the way, about to finish up here, so we will have Charge lots to be able to join in dealing with that bio. Blink is us, so we have Blink and Charge. Okay, so 1-1 with Combat Shield and Stim. Now, this is a pretty hefty bio force moving in towards the natural base here. This observer will end up spotting it. And Sentinel will be able to respond in kind. Now, he is going to be able to get here and focus down an Immortal. Going to actually wind up turning around to fight the Blink Stalkers. His Stim there is going to wind up doing a little bit of damage again with no healing factor in play here. No Medivacs on the production tab. Any Stim is permanent damage to this army. Meanwhile, Sentinel could just easily blink back to shield batteries and heal up very, very easily. Now, we do have two Medivacs finally joining in. 2-2 is on the way with some tanks. And Reege again just playing a very standard macro game. And sometimes, guys, standard is all you need. But Sentinel, this time around, he's a little bit better off. I mean, he's got his 1-1 on the way. He still has his gateways up and running. He's not supply capped. He's trying to spend his money, which is still pretty far up there. You know, he's progressing toward the late game very effectively. A lot of times, it's just a matter of reaching your goal throughout a match. So, like, a lot of players will set themselves a goal, and you have to reach that goal. They say, okay, what should I expect to deal with? And, you know, right now it's just nothing but bio, so... Bios, the tanks, and some Medivacs on the way. So, again, Sentinel going to be able to just respond to that very effectively with Charge Lots and Blink Stalkers and some Immortals. Here we go. Tank's going to move into this low ground here. Observer is going to be able to see this army moving in. Medivac's boosting into place to get up on top of that ramp. They are a point of contention. If they do go down here, a lot of high ground and healing vision will be lost. A lot of healing and high ground vision will be lost, but tanks do siege up. Charge Lot's not in the mix just yet. They need to make it to the front line. Stalkers kind of blocking the blink down to the low ground. Is going to start to clean up these tanks. The Charge Lots are going to be able to surround this bio and push it back. And a very nice hold coming out of Sentinel. Even continue to pick off some Medivacs. Very nice hold indeed. And that's a huge punch through the gut of Reege, as you know he's going to have to go back home and get his third base up and running. And Protoss is just now going to just march across the map with a very scary army of Charge-Outs, Immortals, and Blink Stalkers against his very meager Bioforce for 2-2, sure, and tank support, but at the same time, this is entirely too much Protoss here. Although Reach is actually going to load up and fly right into this army. Sentinel in position is going to be able to start cleaning up some of these medevacs. Ace is going to push right into the third base. He doesn't even care about the drop. The drop's going to have to return and come back home to continue to deal with this. We're going to have a bit of a base trade scenario here, which I do believe, in the end, Sentinel should end up winning. We do have Liberators joining in the mix. His third base will end up falling. But Reach moving right to the main base. He's trying to get in here to shut down some of these pylons and gateways. We do have cannons coming in here to help defend against the drops. Meanwhile, back home, the Liberator is starting to clean up. Mule is trying to body block a little bit. Are going to get cleaned off as well. Charge-Outs in the main base, however, is cleaning up and doing a bit of damage here as well. They are going to start to find some economic damage as some SCVs have fallen. And Sentinel sitting in a pretty good position here to deal the damage. Where'd that drop go? The drop is missing. The drop got cleaned up back home too. Sentinel just defending everywhere and dealing damage across the map. And Reach looking like he's going to have to tap out here very shortly. I don't see how he holds on here. As a Liberator will clean up the Immortal. He's not minding at all. 33 SCVs have been killed, and GG going to get called out. As Sentinel secures himself a Game 2 victory. And here we go for game number 3 to find out who will be going up against Baxter in the finals. We have the purple Terran Pieces in the top right hand corner of Eastwatch. He is currently teamless and he goes by the name of Reege. And in the bottom left hand corner, the red Protoss Pieces of PsyXA. Tying the series up at 1 apiece. He goes by the name of Sentinel. So here we go. We go to Eastwatch, one of the bigger maps in the map pool, to be perfectly honest, in terms of expansions. The rush distance between the bases is not all that crazy. It's there, but it's not something that could be really, oh my gosh, she's about to Bane Bus all in type deal. And be able to reinforce fast enough. But again, on this map, there's a lot of expansions on the map. So you do have a bit of a macro game that can be played. And it does kind of force you to expand towards your opponents. Now, the best thing about this map is there are, like, Ewoks. Check it out, man. There's an Ewok. There's a lot of Star Wars references around this map. Probe, BS, and Steve will continue to bypass each other as they go out to, you know, poke around and scout things out, see what is going on. And in the meantime, there's like even more Ewoks around the map. Just gotta find them. They're like in a tunnel somewhere. Hey, where's the tunnel? There's like a tunnel with Ewoks in it. Really gonna have to start looking around the map a bit more, because you know there's a lot on the map. It's pretty cool. There we go. Look at them Ewoks guarding that base. Here we go. Proby's going to have to run from Steve. I mean, it's not nowhere to fight this. You know, you just micro the probe a little bit and you will end up killing the SCV in the end. Reaper is on the way across the map. Proby is going to run into the Reaper. And now the chase is on. Will he make it back home? Reaper catches up and gets another shot in. Is he going to get away? In the end, he will not. Now again, Reaper is on the map here. He is going to be able to look around, make sure there's nothing too crazy. But by the looks of it, everything is just basically going to go right back into the way it was before. But we do have a change up. Reach this time favoring to go for a factory. Now, this could be huge. This could open up a Marine Marauder, or not a Marine Marauder, a Marauder Cyclone push. this Reaper is going to get in here and scout around and see exactly what is going on his opponent's side of the map. And now, that Marauder Cyclone push is incredibly difficult for Protoss players to stop, especially if you don't have Immortals out, and especially if you don't see it coming. Or even if you don't even have a Void Ray out, for that matter. There's ways to stop the push, but again, it's such a difficult push to handle. It looks like this time we are just going to go into a bit of a mine drop, Marine mine drop. A depth of Sentinel is on the way across the map. We'll have to get over here and see what's going on. Confirm that there's nothing too crazy coming just yet, and this is something that he will be able to handle. Now, the first two games, Reege has shown this Marine Marauder tank style. You know, he just played a very simple macro game, got some tanks, some Marines. 2-2, just got his upgrade rolling, you know, played a very standard game. Now, this is a bit of a change-up. You have a 1-1-1. Something Sentinel is probably not going to really be expecting this time around. He is going to get in here with this Adept Shade. The doors do not end up closing. He will get in here and scout this. And say, okay, mate, you are about to be a little bit more aggressive this time around. You have a Cyclone out. You have a Medevac about to pop out. Let's see what he does with this Medevac. Might be a Widow Mine drop? I hope it's a Widow Mine drop. Yes! We have the Marines and Widow Mine drops all the way across the map towards the main base. Now, we do have shield batteries coming down. We have Stalkers in position. A couple more gateways warping in here for Sentinel. But will Sentinel be able to hold on to this? That is the question. But we got this drop making its way towards the south side of the map here. It's going to make its way towards the main base. Very shortly, we do have Cyclones and Marines still being produced back home. Tank on the production tab now as well. Behind this, Reege is not wasting time. He's just kicking right into his macro. He's going to rely on this drop to find a little bit of damage to see exactly what he can find. Now, Sentinel was well aware of this drop coming in. He does have Stalkers in the depths in position here. Already has an Observer out, and this drop, just like that, is going to get shut down. Widow Mine going to burrow. Try to get a shot off here. It will end up picking off one Stalker. And all in all, a bit of a lost resources there in terms of, you know, that drop got nothing accomplished. It killed one Stalker at most. And Sentinel was just extremely well prepared for it. And that's kind of the problem with Terran. Like, when you're building Terran, when you stack your buildings up like this, you know, just in a simple line for the sake of your add-ons and moving it around faster, it does kind of give you the information as a Protoss or a Zerg, or even another Terran player to say, there's something coming. Be ready for it. And you can deal with it very easily. So that's why you'll see me just throw buildings down in like all sorts of different positions. And being very unpredictable in some games, especially as a Terran player, is like the key aspect in some TVT matchups or TVP. But when you just reveal everything right at the front door and let that Adept in like that, it just lets your opponent be able to, you know, okay, you got something coming, I'll just build some Stalkers and be ready for the drop. A few more gateways being added on here. Now, charge is done. We should see Sentinel decide to push out here sooner or later. As we got about 2.5 minutes to go before he does reach that point where he is going to be late game Protoss. Because for me, late game Protoss is about the 9-10 minute mark. That's about the time you can have Storm done and so forth and so on. This Observer does catch a tail end of this army leaving and moving towards the third base of Sentinel. Which means Sentinel will just go ahead and move down here to defend this position here very shortly. This Observer trying to catch up with the army to see exactly where it goes. But back home, everything just goes right back into a normal swing for Reach. I mean, he just gets his macro started up, gets his upgrades going. Have to see what he gets done with this pressure. As the rocks are down, so he will have to go through these rocks. This pylon here will reveal that these rocks are falling. And we do have Sentinel in position. Now charge is done. Blink is done. The only thing on production tab right now for upgrades for Terran is Stim and Combat Shield. Or +1... Wow, +1 weapons and Combat Shield. Sentinel's just going to have to hang out here. He's just waiting to figure out exactly where his opponents goes. He's got pylons on the map. And Reege, realizing he was already in a position to defend there, is just going to back on up. There's no point in losing your army entirely to a silly push. Sentinel is actually kind of out of position now, looking for this army. It looks like he is going to decide to move across the map here very shortly, but this army of Reege on the other side of the map is moving down towards the main base, down towards the natural. He's going to check for the gold. See, there is no goal. We should see him just to push right up forward. This observer will catch us. Sentinel continuing to look for that army. He's completely on the other side of the map. This observer will see it, but he's going to have to recall out to get everything over here to defend in time. This recall, the main army is going to be here to defend. Tanks do siege up on the low ground. Skane will clean it up, but Charge Lot's jumping into the mix here against these tanks, and just like that, it is going to get pushed back. These tanks are going to end up falling, and Reach will lose his entire army on this side of the map. This medevac trying to get out of here, getting chased down by that one blink stalker. It will end up living. But in the end, the entire army of Reach was wiped out on this side of the map. He does have a second army back home on the defense, ready to go. And Sentinel with these charge lots, will it be enough? I mean, he does have the Warp Prism on the way. We'd like to see that sooner. We do have the Templar Archives on the way. We're getting ready for that Storm Tech. Moving into that late game. Third base is on the way for Terran. A nice snipe on that medevac does take out that one medevac there. He's going to knock down these rocks, which means he will not be able to push in here right away, and that does allow for a tank to siege up behind it and have this basically a natural wall-off. But it also does kind of trap Reach's army from being able to chase it down, or chase down Sentinel. So, Sentinel's just going to back on up, go into an even later game. We're in basically the big game for him right now, Protoss. Land. As we do have Templar Archives finishing up, which means Storm Tech will be on the way. Now, is there a Ghost Academy down yet? Second Engineering Bay, Armory being added on. There's no Ghost Academy down just yet. Reach honestly has no idea that the Storm Tech is out yet. Actually, what does Reach know? He honestly doesn't know a whole lot in terms of what his opponent's been up to on this side of the map. But he is going to push out once again. Now the gold base is chosen to be taken by Sentinel, which is going to allow his economy to just kick into overdrive for a little bit. We do have a bit of a zealot push out here going down towards the gold to make sure there's no gold base down for Terran. Liberator is going to go ahead and siege up. Marine's going to jump in here to start to clean up this pylon. Get rid of the vision on this side of the trees. Scan being thrown down. Going to see exactly where his opponent's army is at. Charger's going to jump in from behind. Charger's jumping to the front. Tanks not sieged up. This bio, though, is just getting shredded. Tank is going to get picked off. A Warp Prism in the mix. Trying to snipe down the Warp Prism is going to have to keep backing up. Warp Prism does end up living. Storm is officially done. There is a Templar in the mix here that does have enough energy for a Storm. Will it go down? I don't think Sentinel knows he has it done. There we go. Storm is going to ran all over these Marines and clean up that entire army. And Sentinel looks like he just wants to continue this pressure right now. He's going to push towards that third base. It is relatively undefended now. As Reach is going to siege up on the natural here, knowing that he actually calls out some mules in the third. These rocks are going to go down. There's no vision of these rocks here. Reach, you need to realize what's going on here to get him over here to defend your third base. Otherwise, this will end up falling. You just called down some fresh mules. You're even committing more resources to these assimilators or refineries, which you do need to gas, sure, but still sacrificing themselves up into their natural there to confirm exactly what is going on. But there's nothing here to defend. This is a completely unprotected third base. Army is on the way. This command center is getting close to falling, and it will get taken out. Will there be a recall out? Just like that, Sentinel improvising with that recall once again does save the rest of his army and dealing a heavy blow to the economy of our Terran player here in purple. And again, this is where Terran is going to start to get a little bit more depressed, or not depressed, well, desperate. Whew. English is hard. I'm sorry. But anyway, they're going to start to get a little bit more desperate and start to throw out units to try for these drops. Now, when this happens, Protoss can easily just start throwing up cannons around the map. I love the Dark Shrine coming into play here. Go into that in a minute. We do have 2-2. Is that 2-2 or is that 3-3? 3-3 on the way. It's blue for Protoss. Gotta remember that. As Sentinel This macro game is just kicked into overdrive, and he is going to be able to enjoy that economic lead for a very long time to come. Gold base is on the way here for Terran. Warp Prism in position here. He can use that to, Sentinel can use that to harass this place, the location. As Terran is being forced to double expand and long range mine. Like I said, it's not a fun day to be a Terran player right now. 13 minutes in against a Protoss who just sniped out your third base. Yeah, Storm Tech done. Now, as saying, we do have the Dark Shrine on the way. And what this is going to cause is Terran to panic even more. Because at this point in the game, Dark Templar, there's no answer for it for Terran. Unless you have Ravens on the map, missile turrets up, which, as you can see, he does not. He's building another orbital command center. There's no missile turrets anywhere on the map at all for any kind of defense. He has Sentinel towers out. That really doesn't detect Dark Templar. This gold base is going to have to be evacuated once again as these charge outs are hanging out here. It'll be another warp in up here in the main base very shortly. He's waiting on that Dark Shrine to finish. Meantime, Sentinel going to run these Zealots into the Bioforce of Reege here. And here we go. Zealots unload in the main base. The Ghost Academy going to get picked off. That's crucial tech right now at this point in the game, as there won't be any EMPs. But we do have this drop heading into the third base location of Protoss. The Sentinel already in position to defend here. This drop basically just going to get cleaned up in the end. Definitely even got Void Rays added on now. He's adding on more and more Void Rays. 3-3 is done. So the question is, what does Reach have to answer here? He's really in a desperate position. This game has started to snowball out of control. Is there any DTs on the map yet? There's no DTs out just yet. But here we go. Sentinel going to move back down south just to be in position for another drop possibly coming. At this point in time, Reach is in a bit of a position where he has to make something happen. But if he moves out at the wrong time and gets caught by this Protoss army, it's basically going to be game over. Now, this third base, again, is undefended. So we should see that third base be a point of contention here and possibly get picked off. Scan being thrown down to try and find this army. See that there's also no expansion here. But here we go. Zealots making their way into this third base location. It's already been picked off once before. Liberator is going to siege up. Meanwhile, the rest of this Protoss army is going to close in from behind. This tank is going to get picked off immediately. The Zealots jumping in here. Voider is jumping in here. Going to start to clean up these Liberators. The third base is safe. But what about your defense? I mean, he can just push right into the natural and now kill off your natural here, Reach. There's nothing left you have. Liberators are being picked off. And you know what? He can just recall out. If he kills the natural, all Sentinel has to do is just recall out. And it stays alive again. Storage being thrown down here to zone out. Some of these units being picked off as they are misride across out to rally up with that army. And there we go. Recalls out once again. And now, you do have a gold base up, which means your economy isn't totally wrecked just yet. However, you're falling behind even further when you lose another base like this. And like I said, you're up 16 minutes in against this Protoss, who has Storm. And here we go. The Dark Templar even going to jump into the mix now. And as I was saying, you have scans, but that's it. You now have to waste energy on scans for an economy that needs the mules to be powering this economy. DT is going to split up here and head towards this undefended command center. It's not even a planetary right now. In the third base, 6 SCVs already getting picked off. Scan going to go throw down and clean these up. Meanwhile, over here in the gold base, all these SCVs are going to end up getting picked off. And Sentinel, he's just everywhere on the map right now. You know, he's forcing Reach to have to respond, and it looks like Reach is actually just going to go right ahead and push across the map. Saying he's had enough. We need to find some damage here and now. We do have a hidden expansion up here in the northwest corner of the map. But again, you're down to 23 workers against the 72 of your opponent. Army supply is relatively even, yes. But honestly, all these DTs on the map are more than enough to kind of clean this up. You're going to have to once again be forced to use scans to deal with the DTs. A scan being thrown down to see where this army of Sentinel is at. He's coming down here to defend this gold base. Tanks and Liberators. There's a lot of Terran here. But is it enough to hold on? We do have upgrades at 2-2 to 3-3 with the +1 shield, and the DT's jumping in here. Scans being thrown down to clean them up, but the tanks layering fire all over their friendly Marines on the ground. But here we go, Storm's coming down on top of this bio and tank army as well. Is there enough Protoss here, or will the Marines and Liberators be able to push this back? Just like that, Reege does get a win. He is in a position here to snowball this in the opposite direction now. Tempest do join in here to deal with these Liberators, and mind you, they deal with Liberators, picking them off almost immediately. But Sentinel is starting to be in a pretty desperate situation. I mean, he has all his money in the bank, but he can't spend it. I mean, the gateways aren't done. The cooldown finally up, but the Liberator is going to siege up right here on the natural base. And this is where Terran might actually be able to get right back into this game. He's not building anything back home. There's nothing on the production tab for Terran, so it's here and now. But these Tempests are looking like they might be more than enough to finish the game. A couple more Void Rays even joining in. Reach, you played a solid game here, mate. You actually started to bring this back with really good pressure. But in the end, you just needed to continue to produce army. You don't have any economy. You're not even mining in your third. You needed to be mining behind this. In the end, he just doesn't have the money to build back up. Sentinel, looking like he has held on just long enough. And that aggression to, be able to close this game out. And he is going to push right towards that last mining third base. Gold base not mining. The base up here in the top left is now mining it though. It does have mules there. But here we go. Sentinel going to push right on in here. 7 Marines on the production tab is not going to be enough to defend anything. So this third base is going to wind up getting cleaned up. Some medevacs are on the way to try and help deal with this. DTs and Zealots making their way up towards that gold base. But in the end, it looks like we will end up seeing the last of Reach here in the JSL Semifinals around the 4. Zealots kicking in with that charge once more. Void Ray trying to get cleaned up. 22 SCVs have died. He's now reached to that 5 SCV count. Marines rallying out here, going to get cleaned up. Back on the Tempest finally joining in here. And GG's going to get called out as Sentinel secures himself a 2-1 victory over Reach. He played a phenomenal game. He started bringing it back, but in the end, he just didn't have the economy to keep that aggression going. And well played by Sentinel to close that series out 2-1.